But Worth the Fight wants to join us.
Oh, let's go.
Are we arguing with somebody? What's up, man?
Hey, can you guys hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're good, man.
I'm on my phone. I'm 44 years old. I'm dying. I'm kind of nervous. I got a brain tumor, so this might be my last season. Sorry I look so rough. I'm nervous. Give me a second. I'll calm down. I hear the
nervous around us, man.
I hear the Jet fans saying that I've been watching 32 years. I feel like we've never really had a great offense. And they say if we stick with Sam, if it doesn't work out, we've gained nothing. And I'd like to hear your guys' take. You guys seem pretty open-minded and not just completely out on Sam. My thought is trade back number 2. Say we end in the 6 to 10 or 11 range. I would like to grab Pitts and probably Tony or Bateman at 23. My thought is completely build a legitimate top-of-the-line, top 10 offense this year. Don't worry about the defense, literally at all. I'll sign some mid-level guys. Everybody tells me Saleh can coach guys up, so let's find out. I'm old. My lifestyle or my age group, we're like a show me, don't tell me type. Not that I don't believe in Saleh, but I want to see him coach some guys up. Let him have the mid rounds and maybe some mid-level contracts. I would go Pitts and then Tony or Bateman. Try to get Wyatt Davis. Sorry, I forget stuff sometimes. Try to go Wyatt Davis maybe at 34 or an interior offensive lineman. Sign Thuney. And I would go Robinson, if not Goodwin. And I don't think Goodwin's going to be tagged. I think it's his time to get money. And with Brady, you can pretty much get receivers to want to come there. So that would give us Becton, Thuney, McGovern, Wyatt Davis, and Fant. I can live with that offensive line. It'll be the best we've had since we had Mangold and Brick.
Yeah. Dude,
That
is exactly my philosophy for this offseason. Prioritize the offense, trade back, get a haul, build a legitimate foundation for the next number of years. I'd be fine with Pitts. I'd also be fine with Jamar Chase or, Devontae Smith or somebody like that. But like you said, getting a guy like Bateman or somebody like that at 23 with the depth in this receiver class, I think that's definitely an option. Maybe going tight end, or if somebody like Sewell were to fall, I think that could be an option as well, depending on how far you move back. But definitely, dude, I'm prioritizing offense all day. Let Saleh work with some of these younger guys on defense. We can address, pass rush, corner the year after. It's about time we finally get with the times and prioritize the offense around our quarterback, whoever that is.
We would have 3 number ones next year in pretty much any trade down scenario.
Yep.
And so Saleh would get a year with the defense to see what he really needs. And if you have the offensive line I mentioned and you come out with Pitts, Mims, I would still pay Crowder. It's 1 year, $11 million. We have the money, then he'll be off the books. If you come out with Pitts, Crowder, Mims, Tony, or Bateman, and then sign Robinson or either Goodwin, or if you had to go Curtis Samuels, that's a nice offense that any quarterback's going to want to play with. And I'm not crazy about Dak, but let's just say Sam couldn't get it done. We could have the chance to sign Dak next year. When Russell Wilson wants out next year for sure, we would be on his list because he would see a really good offensive line with weapons at every position. Running backs are easy to find. If you have a monster offensive line, running backs seem to do good behind great offensive lines. But so Sam bombs and say we end up with the 8th pick. Whoever we trade with, we're going to have that first round pick. I have a feeling Seattle's going to crash and burn this year just because they're not happy and Russell's not happy there. So even if we get, say, at the 20th pick, end up with the 15th pick and the 8th pick, we can do a lot with that. And veteran quarterbacks are changing teams now. Like, this isn't our dad's a franchise quarterback stays with one team forever. So we could sign Dak. There's word Andrew Luck's thinking of coming back. I mean, we would have options. And if you have an elite offense, quarterbacks will want to play there is how I'm thinking of it. And then 3 first-round picks. You give Saleh a year with that defense and 3 first-round picks, He's going to be able to get a pass rusher, a corner, and a coverage linebacker. And going into 2022, we wouldn't be a joke anymore. I'm just tired of the season being over by week 6. It's old.
No, dude, now, what is your thought? You made an excellent case for that. Now, are you completely out on Deshaun Watson?
I would not give up all that because no offense, he's a great player. Now, if we had the offense I'm talking about already, then yeah, I would be for it next year. And then listen, I have a feeling his owner's stubborn. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't try to call his bluff and see if he wants to return $27 million he's probably spent a chunk of.
Yeah, but
next year.
It seemed like, yeah, but see, like, I think there's like I like the approach you took, but it seems like I'm willing to give up the resources this year to get Watson, where it's like you're willing to get the resources next year to get the guy. That's what it seems. I
just think if we have, like I said, if we had Mims, Crowder, Tony, Robinson, and Pitts, quarterbacks are going to want to come to New York. Like, it's not going to be hard to get a quarterback. Quarterbacks move. This isn't 30 years ago where they stay in one place forever.
Quarterbacks move, but, I mean, if you look at how many quarterbacks that are 25 years old, like Watson, though. I mean, Wilson's a little bit up in age a little bit. He's going to, he's, what, 30-something?
You brought up a good point, though, that could end up being a free agent if, the Cowboys.
I think the Cowboys get him.
I think they probably will, too, but, I mean, we didn't think Watson was going to be available.
I don't think that's going to.
Look where that's going right now.
He watched what Kirk Cousins did. There's no way Dak will sign a contract there tomorrow. I could see no way. Why? If Dallas wants to sign him next year, that's fine. No rule says they can't sign him next year.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. Like, listen, I completely understand what you're saying. If like I'm more of if I can get Watson this year, I'd get him and try to build around going forward for the next 3 or 4 years because he's so young. He's only 25. But I can see your point of view completely, and I understand your stance on saying, hey, you know what, trade back, get all these pieces around Darnold, and you want to give Darnold that chance. That listen, that's
I think he deserves it. He's acted like a professional. He never came out and said, how am I supposed to work with this shitty roster? Not one time. And everybody's thinking it. And people say, well, this quarterback and that quarterback. We would be wanting to Jet fans right now would be wanting to trade Mahomes if he was on this roster and we made all the same moves. Mahomes would be a bust right now. You can't win with nothing in this league. We run a 1980 high school offense, and everyone else runs a 2020 offense.
Do you pick up Sam Darnold? Do you pick up his option, or you just make it a prove-it year for him?
Yeah, and if he plays top 15 quarterback with those weapons I'm talking about, he's not going to demand $40 million next year. He seems pretty well grounded. He knows he doesn't deserve $40 million next year.
If you pick up his option, it's $18 million for next year. So then you have him for next year already anyway.
I don't think his contract will be more than that next year. I think if they went and talked to him man to man, like, look, we're going to give you the weapons we promised, some protection, and if this works out and we want to sign you next year, we expect you to, be fair about the contract.
Oh,
Sam
dude,
seems like a pretty well.
I don't think he's his agent, man.
I was going to say, he might be grounded,
agent.
But his agent is completely different. He's got CAA who's also represented.
He'll
by
be in that $30 million a year range.
Yeah, he's going to be looking for a lot, I think, if he plays well. But again, if he plays well,
pay him.
Like, yeah, exactly.
If he plays top 12, pay him top 12. If he comes out and wins Offensive Player of the Year, I don't mind giving him that money. Sam hasn't had much to work with. He's had a bottom 3 offensive line, bottom 3 weapons. He's only had 300-yard rushing games from a running back in 3 years. You can't win with that.
Yeah, but I mean, in all fairness, like I understand you're making a case for Sam Darnold, and I'm not going to debate about this or anything. But
I'm not making a case for Sam. What I'm saying is, no matter what, at the end of the year, we have a great offense going into next year.
I know. Listen, I understand the theory of having the great offense, of building a team, regardless of the quarterback. I completely understand it. My concern is you build this great team that has the 6-7 wins. The compensation you don't want to give up this year, we're going to give it up next year. So it could be delaying the inevitable for 1 year. It's all really, that's why.
Not really though, because
if we need the quarterback,
if you have Pitts, Mims, Crowder, Thuney, all these players, you don't have to have a top 5 quarterback to win a Super Bowl. Statistics say you have to have a top 12 quarterback.
Yeah, but you still got to find the quarterback. You're still so you if you're the 10th pick in the draft, do you feel comfortable waiting at 10 to get it, or you got to trade up to get to 1, 2, or 3 to get it?
No, because if you've looked at next year's class, they say there's 8 quarterbacks that will be drafted in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, I mean they're saying that this year too, though. I mean I understand what you're saying, man.
I've seen mixed things on next year's class. Some people that think there's only like 1 or 2 guys that are going to be first rounders. Others that think it's pretty comparable to this year. So I've seen.
But
remember, last year Zach Wilson would have been a 4th round draft pick. Now he's going to be the number 2 pick. 1 year does a lot for a quarterback. You can learn a lot in 1 year.
No, that's true. But now the other thing, though, is I understand the whole trade back scenario and doing all that. If you take a quarterback at 2, say you take Zach Wilson, the Jets still have a plethora of resources to use to build a team up this year. You could still get a receiver at 23. You could still
for a quarterback, you're taking a chance might be good with weapons. Well, that's the same
with Sam Darnold too.
That's what I'm saying. But see, remember, it's not. This is where people I think are getting lost. They think it's Sam versus Zach Wilson. It's not. It's Sam and 4 or 5 premium picks against Zach.
In theory, if somebody believes that much to move up and give that all these draft resources, like I'm still not believing that somebody's giving up 3 first-round picks or 2 first-round picks to pick Zach Wilson. I don't think that's gonna. I personally think that's gonna happen, but maybe it does. But I understand what you're saying. But
in 50 more days, they're going to be foaming at the mouth to get him.
Yep.
Yeah, but then if people are foaming at the mouth, then why wouldn't the Jets be foaming at the mouth to get him? Because they need a quarterback, though, in theory.
I don't remember, though. A lot of these teams have rosters. I mean, a lot of Jet fans can't admit it. We have by far the worst roster in football.
We also have a shitload of resources to build this up faster, and with better coaching, we could be better. Like you just said, give Salah a year. Like to me, this is not a 1-year fix. So to me, it's just
exactly 2 years minimum just to have a good roster.
If you say we have improved coaching, on both sides of the football, which would be a big step. So if you say if everybody's going to be all on the Zach Wilson train, then you say, okay, this year, and I agree with you with one thing. This year, I focus all on offense. I don't give a shit about the defense at all. Give Salah mid-range guys, all these guys, let them do smoke and mirrors on defense. Give the offense as much weapons as humanly possible for the quarterback this year and get a move.
To find out if Sam can win with weapons.
No, to help my rookie quarterback, Zach Wilson, to get him going, and I do defense next year.
We basically have a rookie quarterback. He hasn't been given a football team yet.
Now we have a 4th-year quarterback it's damaged goods.
I don't believe that. Listen, fans are out on Sam. Smart people, not saying you're not smart, but people that do this for a living and support their family all across the league are in on Sam.
That's not true.
All the playoff teams are in on Sam. That's not remotely
true. The Sam Darnold debate all across the NFL is hotly contested amongst analysts, experts, former players, current players. Everybody debates this, man. We follow this on social media. Everybody debates it.
GMs and a lot of people still think Sam hasn't been given a chance to succeed.
Right. Yeah, but he's still an unknown though. That's the thing. They don't know what he is. Nobody's saying, you know what, Sam Darnold's a Pro Bowl quarterback. He's gotten a shitty hand. They say we think Sam has potential. He hasn't shown it yet due to the circumstances. That's a big difference, dude. Like if everybody was so convinced that Sam Darnold was the answer here, the day that Salah was hired, all this, the Jets be like, Sam Darnold's our guy. He's not going nowhere. We're moving forward. That's it. Not playing all these fucking games. No.
I disagree. I think our GM's too smart for that. When he came out and gave that statement 2 days ago, I, from the bottom of my heart, believe what he was saying. If you read all the stuff that's been out there, what he was saying is, if you're interested in the 2nd pick, you can call and ask about Sam, and we'll talk about the 2nd pick. He's playing. Look how much he got for Jamal Adams. There's not a single person that said we would get 2 first-round picks.
What I'm saying is the Jets have not given off any vibe that Sam is 1,000% their guy. They're playing. Why? I mean,
that's not how you raise. That's not how you raise the value for the 2nd pick.
Bingo.
The 2nd pick, the 2nd pick. So if you want it, come get it. It doesn't really matter if they want the guy or not. You want the pick, come get it. Everything's on the table.
I know, but the more you keep how would you say it? The more you keep where you're not sure what you're doing or what sure people are thinking out there, that's going to raise his value the most. I honestly believe. I think Joe Douglas was opening lines of communication to find out which teams want a quarterback.
They know it. I mean, I can tell you what teams want a quarterback. We all know it. It's not, I mean, we're fans and we know it.
I'm talking about willing to make a move to get one. He doesn't want to trade with a team that wants Jamar Chase because they won't pay top dollar.
The teams are all being named. The Washington, the Bears, the Panthers. We know 49ers. We know all the teams. They talk about them every day. But
there's no good teams. Listen, nobody's got to see Wilson or Fields at their pro day yet. That's when the value is going to start to skyrocket. So why should he put himself in a corner before that gets here?
So you're telling me right now that you think the Jets are all in on Darnold, and no matter how Zach Wilson and Fields perform at their pro day, they're just going to ignore it and say no, we're trading back.
Fields, I think there's zero chance Fields ends up in a Jets uniform. He couldn't get on the field at Georgia that runs a pro-style offense. He had to go to a school that runs a remedial offense, Ohio State. He couldn't even get on the field with quarterbacks he's better than because he couldn't pick up the.
So then we'll go back to Zach Wilson then. So if Zach Wilson puts on just a showcase and interviews well and does great, is there anything he can do in that pro day to say tell the Jets, you know what, we got to take him?
Yes. Yeah, because I think our GM's open-minded.
Okay.
So I don't think he's decided yet, but I don't think he's nowhere near out on Sam. And the reason I say I think he was trying to open lines of communication with teams for number 2 that are looking for a quarterback is because they've already had offers for Sam. That's been out there for weeks now.
Right. So
to say he's going to accept calls, he's already had those calls for Sam.
Well, right now where the Jets are, nobody should be untouchable because there's really honestly nobody that's, I mean, maybe other than Becton and Williams, everybody should be, open to consideration. But if the Jets take Wilson at 2, would you be okay with that? Can they still build around him?
I love Wilson. I don't love him more than getting the number 8 pick. Let's just take Carolina. Say they don't get Watson. I've used them for an example because the number 8 pick, the number 39 pick, the first round pick next year, which loses a round in value. And next year, when you trade a year away, they count as mid-round picks, 1 round less. So that would basically be number 48 and number 80 that we would be getting. That adds up to 25-20 on the Jimmy Johnson trade chart. Now, I do have brain damage. I messed up, but when it comes to sports and numbers and stuff, I sometimes can get it together.
No, you do. My question was, I understand the value, but my question was, if the Jets say, you know what, Zach Wilson just put on a show. This is our guy. They take him at 2. Do you feel comfortable that they can still build around Zach Wilson this year, taking a quarterback at 2?
Yeah. Not as much because I do think number 39 and a first and a second next year, that's 3 more premium players.
Right, but if they took the quarterback though, they still have the ability to build around Zach Wilson this year and be okay where it's not the disaster they were last year.
Yeah, I would go like Tony or Bateman, Wyatt Davis at 39 or 34, and
you still have free agency too.
I think Joe Douglas could build an overpowered top 10 offense this offseason with the plan I laid out. That's realistic.
Okay, so the plan you laid out is over and above great scenario for Sam Darnold. What is your scenario for Zach Wilson, including free agency?
I'm sure it's similar though, right?
I lost you.
You're still signing 2 and 8. You're still signing a top receiver.
You made the case for your trade back and everything for Sam Darnold. What is your scenario for Zach Wilson? What can the Jets do there?
For Wilson, I think Joe Douglas will look to trade back from 23. Isn't that what we have, 23?
Yeah.
The way he operated last year, I would expect him to trade back to the second round, try to get a second, a third, and a second next year. That's just how he's operated so far, which we got a small sample size.
So then would that be the best move to make, though? Or do you get the best playmaker you can get at 23, see what kind of value you get for Sam Darnold, maybe that's a second-round pick, and then combine later-round picks and try to move up? Still get your Bateman or Tony at 23.
I could see him giving up 34 and Sam to Washington for 19. Yep. Now, if he can pull that off, we're right back in the game. But I do think Pitts,
you're on my
there's not a lot of Pitts. There's not a lot of Pitts running around. I think Pitts is a top 3 tight end by midseason.
So we're right back in the game, prime time. You heard him?
He's something serious. I would rather go the other route, like I said, because just that offense, Becton, Thuney, McGovern, Fant, Wyatt Davis, Pitts, Mims, Crowder, Tony.
I got you back in the game.
Dude, that's top 8 or 10 offense right there with 3 number ones, 2 seconds, and 2/3 next year. Salah's going to be able to build a whole young, aggressive, mean, nasty defense next year. We could have a top – listen, all I'm saying, minus quarterback, which I get that's a big deal. It's the most important position in football. But minus quarterback, we could have a top 8 to 10 roster in the I started to say fuck, sorry. But we could have a top 8 to 10 roster in the league next year, and we have the worst roster in football right now.
Well, I mean,
you give Salah a year and then give him the top coverage linebacker, the top corner, the top DN, and 2 second-round picks. Like, we could have a top 10 roster next year. We could go from 32 to top 10 in 15 months.
I mean, I'd say we could be significantly improved. I'm not sure if we can go that high because that's a lot of assumptions there. But I understand. Listen, it's an excellent debate, dude. I'm more in the. I understand what you're saying. The whole trade back, I respect it completely. I do.
Where would you put that offense next year? Becton, Thuney, Fant, McGovern, and Wyatt Davis, who everyone thinks is going to be a good guard. Thuney's top 2 or 3, and then let that sink in for a minute. Pitts, Mims, Crowder, Tony or Bateman, and Robinson. Where would you rank that offensive weapons minus the quarterback, the other 10 positions?
I understand that it's the dream scenario. I just don't think that would happen like that, though.
If you trade back to 8 with Carolina, who everyone knows they're hungry, Pitts is going to be in play at 8, I think.
Could be. Yeah, I mean, listen.
If he's not, you have Chase. And I'm out on Devontae Smith, and I'll have to check Waddle's ankle, but I'm not interested in Devontae Smith. He's too little to do what he does in the NFL.
Yeah,
he's not going to be the fastest player on the field every week in the NFL. You got some big boys that can slap him around in the middle that are quick in the NFL.
No, I completely agree. No, I don't like him either that high. I like Jamar Chase and other guys as well. No, listen, I completely respect what you're saying. It's an excellent, well thought out analysis. I think that Primetime loves you because Primetime's a Darnold guy, so completely agree. Yeah, awesome, man.
Do you think that's realistic?
Absolutely.
Though?
Absolutely.
Pitts at 8. I mean, that's realistic. Tony or Bateman at 23. I think one will still be on the board. Wyatt Davis or another interior lineman at 34. That's all realistic. Like, this plan's not far-fetched. I've thought about it a lot.
No, dude, that's completely realistic. And what I keep saying is, like, Darnold becomes the bonus at the end of it. If he works out, you're fucking set. You could pay him and you have this offense that's set to go for the next 5 to 10 years. If he doesn't work out, okay, well, you still have all the assets to get your quarterback, and you're bringing that guy into a situation that's much better than what you brought Sam into.
We would be on Russell Wilson's number 1 on Russell Wilson's list to be traded to right now with that offense because his wife wants to be in New York. If you can't make that offense work, you're not a quarterback. I mean, that's a big receiver. Crowder would be gone next year, but that's $11 million off the books. The salary cap's going to go way up next year because it looks like fans are coming back plus a new TV contract. Like, that seems realistic. And I'm telling you, you give Salah 3 first and 2 seconds that are all defense. That's 5 starters. As long as Joe Douglas and Salah can hit. If they hit on 4 of the 5, I mean, I just don't see the downside to this. We could have a great roster in 2 years.
No, dude, listen, man. Thank you for joining us. We definitely appreciate it. It's well thought out, well presented. It's an excellent take, man. It really is.
You guys are amazing. How do I make sure that next time? Because I'm not good at this computer stuff.
We're live Monday nights at 8 o'clock. We do a radio show Tuesday nights at 8:30 and usually Fridays at 8 o'clock. So all you do
is there like a thing I have to write down on a paper to brush my teeth every day? My memory's so bad.
Just Let's Talk Jets Radio on YouTube, man.
And then I just put the bell, right?
Yep.
All right. Thanks, guys. Kevin, you're the first one that's probably been all in on my plan. Everyone else makes it sound like it's insane.
No, your plan.
Your plan is pretty much word for word what I've been saying for the last 3 months. So spot on.
Real quick before we go, Tyson, you can't tell me even if you're out on Darnold, you can't tell me in the pit of your stomach if you knew we were taking the field with that line with Pitts and Mims and Crowder and Robinson and Tony, you wouldn't have like.
I would love
it. He would love it. I could see it.
Compared to the slop we've been putting on the field for a decade.
But see, unfortunately, we wouldn't have that because I'd have Deshaun Watson at quarterback. So my plan's completely different. So
can you see Douglas giving that up though? All that for one player?
I do. I think it's.
He just said you build through the draft. I can't see him giving up 5 or 6 assets for one player.
I think it's a unique opportunity to make a big splash in New York, and he knows it's just I think it's unique. I think I make them make a push for it. I think they do. I really do.
What do you think realistically would get him? I think they're going to want all 4 number ones.
Nope. I think 3 first-round picks gets him.
You think including 23 and the best number 1 next year would get him?
Yep.
Would you do that?
I would.
If it was up to you right now, you would do it?
Today. Right now. I do. Yep.
Because everyone says 80 million cap, you could build a team. Go on that little draft thing where they let you sign players. 80 million goes fast.
But my vision with that is it's not a short-term fix. Like, I understand I'm getting myself into. I understand that I'm going to lose the value of the first-round picks. Completely understand that. I also understand there's cap space we can use, and he's got to draft well other than the first round. You got to maximize all your resources. This year you get a step better. Next year you get a lot better, and then it's a 2 or 3 year bit. But you have Deshaun Watson at your quarterback. It's one of the best guys in football.
One more thing. How bad are you going to hate Deshaun Watson in 2 years when he says, "Get me out of here"? And I've got kids. I've got kids and grandkids. Once you give a brat their way, they expect their way.
Dude, and then you know what?
2 losing seasons, he'll want out of town.
You know what, though, dude? And the other thing, too, is you think Sam Darnold's a nice guy right now until he wants his big $40 million a year contract in New York, too, for overcoming all the shit he's overcome here, too. Negotiations work for everybody, man.
But I mean, Dak had 1,800 yards in 5 games before he got hurt. And I'm not a huge Dak fan. Don't get me wrong. I hate the Cowgirls. But I'm just saying, I mean, 1,800 yards in 5 games, and they don't have the weapons or the line that I listed. Their line's getting old, and they have good weapons.
No, listen.
Really solid.
Yeah, everybody has the players they like and covet. You know, we all have different plans. Listen, I respect everybody, man. It's just I'm all in on Watson. That's the way I would go. So, but teach their own. You know what I mean?
I love Watson. He's a stud. You guys have a great night.
You too. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Prayers to you, man.
Later, Kevin. Later, guys.
Later. Excellent call, man. Holy shit.
Phenomenal call.
You've been setting me up with all these calls tonight, man.
Phenomenal call.